Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Tiffany Anderson, the minister of this church, and my pronouns are she and her. Today we are talking about taking risks and building connections, and we're going to start with our opening hymn, which is Around. So Liz is going to come up here and give us some instructions. That was the first risk we took today, and y'all did great. Our call to worship is We Lay Down Our Burdens by Kate Steinberg. Beloved companions, we arrive in this place where all we have to do is breathe. We don't have to impress or convince or win over. We don't have to know the words. It's okay if we didn't read the book or pass the class or carry the title or meet the mark. We don't have to be anything but who we are. Here we rest in essence together. And to move into this communal rest, we lay down our burdens, our longing, our craving, our unmet needs, our error, our regret, our sudden disappointment, our anxiety, our shame, our sheer exhaustion, our bewilderment, our bafflement, our burgeoning terror. All of this, we lay down together today. As we do this, may we be filled instead with presence. May we feel held in the comfort of our community. May we discover new compassion for ourselves and others. May we meet this moment with gentleness, ease, and gratitude. For this air that we breathe together, for these questions that we ask together, for the justice that we seek together, for the songs we sing together. Please breathe with me in this moment of peace.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Sarah with the pronouns she, her, and I am your service leader today. If you are visiting us for the first time today, you are especially welcome. Phyllis at the visitors table by the door can help you get oriented if you have any questions. If you have little ones, our greeters can show you the way to the nursery, which is available during the service for children ages 6 and younger. Children are always very welcome here in this sanctuary as well. We begin our service with our chalice lighting. The flaming chalice has been a symbol of hope and liberation ever since the Unitarian Service Committee used it as their official seal to provide documentation for refugees fleeing Europe during World War II. Today, we invite Stephen to come and help us with our chalice lighting. Stephen is a graduate of 3 different universities. He likes his dog, Jingo. As Stephen lights the chalice, please join me in saying our vision statement, which is printed in our bulletin. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder.
Today's story for all ages is a picture book called Black Dog by Levi Pinfold. As you hear today's story and see the pictures, I want all of you, young and old, to look for evidence of the dog growing and shrinking in size. One day, a black dog came to visit the Hope family. Mr. Hope was the first to see it. "My goodness," he cried, dropping the toast. He didn't waste any time phoning the police. "There's a black dog the size of a tiger outside of my house," he told the policeman. The policeman laughed. "What should I do?" asked Mr. Hope. "Don't go outside," said the policeman, and put the phone down. How big is that dog? The size of a tiger. That's what Mr. Hope said. Mrs. Hope was the next to get up. "My goodness," she cried, dropping her mug of tea. She didn't waste any time calling Mr. Hope. "Did you know that there's a black dog the size of an elephant outside?" she yelled. "Yes," said Mr. Hope. "What should we do?" asked Mrs. Hope. "Turn out the lights so it doesn't know we're here." How big is that dog? Size of an elephant. Adeline Hope was the next to get up. You see in the window there? "My goodness," she cried, dropping her toothbrush. She didn't waste any time calling for her parents. "Did you know that there's a black dog the size of a Tyrannosaurus Rex outside?" "Yes," said Mr. and Mrs. Hope together. "What should we do?" asked Adeline. "Close the curtains so it can't see us." How big is that dog? Size of a T-Rex. Maurice Hope is the next to get up. "My goodness," he cried, dropping his teddy. He didn't waste any time calling for the whole family. "Did you know there's a black dog the size of a Big Jeffy outside?" "What's a Big Jeffy?" asked Adeline Hope. "Never mind that. What should we do?" demanded Maurice Hope. "Hide under the covers," they all wailed. How big is that dog? Size of a Big Jeffy. I don't want to know what a Big Jeffy is. It was then that the youngest member of the Hope family, called Small for short, noticed that something was going on. "What are you lot doing there under the covers?" "We're hiding from the black dog," they whispered. "Oh, you are such sillies," said Small, opening the front door. "Don't go out there," the family gasped. "The dog will eat you up. It'll munch your head. It'll crunch your bones." But Small had gone out anyway. Did the black dog change sizes that time? No, that's interesting. Let's see what Small does. Outside, the black dog leaned down toward her and breathed. "Crikey, you are big," said Small. "What are you doing here, you big guffin?" The black dog snuffed at her. Look at how big that black dog is. It takes up the whole page. Small is just there in the bottom corner, and I don't think I'd see her at all without that yellow raincoat. That is a big dog. "All right then," she said, "if you're gonna eat me, you'll have to catch me first." And with that, she scurried into the lowering trees. And as she ran, she made up a song. "You can't follow where I go unless you shrink, oh, don't you know?" The black dog followed. And maybe he's taking up a little bit less of the page. As Small hurried toward the frozen pond, under the little bridge and over the ice, she sang, "You're ginormous, ice is thin, spread your weight or you'll fall in." And the black dog followed. Does he look like he's getting a little smaller? Yeah. All right, so now she scuttled through the playground, down the slide and around the merry-go-round, singing, "You might be big, I may be small, but I'm not afraid of you at all." And the black dog followed. What's happening to the black dog? It's getting smaller again. Finally, Small had run all the way back to the house. "You'll find out why they all hide if you follow me inside." And with that, Small tumbled into her warm home through the cat flap. She really was that small. And so, by now, was the black dog. Inside, Small grabbed a laundry basket, and as the black dog scrabbled in behind her, she covered him with a loud "Ha!" Just then, the rest of the Hope family popped up from behind their barricade. "You haven't been munched," cried Mrs. Hope. "You haven't been crunched," cheered Mr. Hope. "You haven't been eaten," yelled Maurice Hope, missing a poetic opportunity. "But where's the black dog?" asked Adeline. And without a word, Small lifted the basket. The rest of the Hope family were extremely pleased to see that the black dog was neither so huge nor so scary as they had feared. "He doesn't seem fierce at all now that I really look at him," said Mrs. Hope. The rest of the family agreed. "We were silly," said Adeline. "Only Small knew the right thing to do." Everyone was quiet for a while, thinking of how brave Small had been. "You've got a lot of courage facing up to a big, fearsome thing like that," said Mrs. Hope. "There was nothing to be scared of, you know," replied Small Hope as she went to sit by the fire. And the black dog followed. The end. Now, I just have one question for all of you today. Why do you think that black dog kept changing size? Anxiety. Anxiety can make things grow, can't it? And then, so what's the corollary there? When we face our fears, maybe they get to a manageable size? Easier said than done, but it's a great story to think about. Today, we are going to learn more about finding our courage and taking risks. The barber shop is the central setting for today's storytelling about trying new things and meeting new people. So, to get us in that barbershop mood, Byron, Dawn, Brian, and Liz have prepared some really excellent barbershop quartet pieces for us.
Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you. Light of my life, my darling, I love you. I love you. I can forget you never. From you I ne'er can sever. Say you'll be mine forever. I love you.
Heart of my heart, we are here to share love. It's part of our shared vision. It's not the romantic love of the barbershop quartet, but it is agape love, which invites us to being held in acceptance by a community with compassion and justice at its core. Whether it's our first Sunday and we are seeking a place to belong, or it's our 40th year here and everything we are doing is to keep this community going, love is a thread that runs throughout the tapestry of this community and connects us all. And a part of how we share that love with each other is creating space to share our joys and sorrows with each other. If you'd like to share a joy or a sorrow in person, please use these candle cards, which are located on the back table. And if you'd like to share a joy or a sorrow with me from a distance, please email minister@hvuuc.org. A candle of sorrow for Mary Jane Irwin, a longtime member of the church. Mary Jane moved into assisted living some years ago and passed away on May 10th. People here who remember her say that she was a wonderful human being with a warm and engaging smile. A candle card of gratitude from Ann Johnson. A giant thank you to the Macho Group and Miss Macho, Tish, for all the work done at my house Saturday. It will go a long way toward helping me sell my house. A candle card for Kaya Hoffman, who is in the hospital in Knoxville. She has air in her abdomen and is having surgery today. She's hoping to get home Thursday or Friday to her partner and their 2 small children. A candle card of gratitude from me for the beautiful art that we had in the sanctuary the month of May. Folks are going to start taking their artwork down, but I just have to say it's been beautiful. And I'm so grateful to Beth for organizing it, to Greg for figuring out how to hang them, and to all of the helpers and all of the artists who contributed to their work. You guys have worked together to make this place beautiful. A candle of concern from Sarah Sanders. My brother-in-law is going through a few health scares. He's in the ICU and is expected to be there for a while. Things are looking up, and they do have some plans for moving forward. A candle of joy from Jen. Fletcher has graduated high school. He plans on attending Northeast State to study auto mechanics. What a great fit. Congratulations. A candle of joy from Donnie. You are all invited to a Pride kickoff party this evening from 5 to 8 p.m. in the park beside Southside Elementary in Johnson City. There will be live music. You can bring a picnic. It will be family friendly. And a card of personal joy for me. Yesterday I had the privilege of attending the first retreat that the Holston Valley UU Women's Group has had in many years. Most of those wonderful women are still up at the Peace Pentagon in Independence, Virginia, creating community together right now, but I had to come back and work. Thank goodness I like my work. But the time yesterday was full of creativity and connection and renewal. What an amazing community we have here, and I felt real joy being a part of it. So we invite you to come to this table to light a candle for your joys and sorrows, or you may raise your hand and I will light a candle for you. And during this time, you may also leave money in the basket for the kids' collection for hunger. And our community is so much larger than just those who are with us in the building this morning. And so we light a candle to hold space for those who are not physically present with us, but are ever in our hearts. Okay, then I'll take it from here. And we light a final candle for all that remains unspoken in our hearts and minds. Of love, source of love and compassion that dwells within each of us. In this quiet moment, we connect. We name our fears and our sorrows. We reach out to our hopes and our joys, and we hold it all together. In this house of earnest transformation, our hearts and minds are constantly drawn to vulnerable populations that are being targeted and are suffering. We pray for immigrants and green card holders, for queer and transgender people and their families, for young adults trying to make their way in a struggling economy, for children who doubt they will inherit a world at all, and for all who are part of the interconnected web of life that is the planet Earth. And that is a lot. And I am so glad that we don't hold it alone, but together. We hold this all in care. We hold it with the totality of our emotions, even the ones that are hard to feel. And we hold each other in this space too. Spirit of life, show us a way through. Give our hands, hearts, and minds meaningful work to alleviate suffering and challenge injustice. Show us the world through your eyes, the eyes of ultimate love. Heal our hurting hearts, lead us in the ways of justice, and give us the wisdom to know that those two things are intimately intertwined. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
So, it's scene setting story time. I've traveled for extended periods in foreign places and ended up needing a haircut wherever I happened to be. I was sure there was a sermon in there somewhere from those experiences, and I bought Reverend Tiffany's expertise at the annual service auction, which I highly recommend. What a fun time. And this is one of the first of many advertisements. Here are 4 examples of my experiences. First, India. I left the expat compound in the evenings and walked the neighborhoods. I often passed a street corner barber, and he had a bucket that was at the curb, and you would sit down on the bucket and he would cut your hair. In need of a haircut, I stopped, and he wouldn't speak any English. He was only Hindi. I used the international symbol for haircut, okay? And he waved me to his bucket, and he proceeded to cut my hair. When he finished, he grabbed a straight razor, and my first thought was, cool, I'm gonna need a shave too. Then he seized my wrist, jerked my arm straight out, and my next thought was terror. He's gonna kill me right here, right now. They told me not to leave the compound. He then proceeded to shave my armpits. Turns out in the hot, muggy climate, shaving armpits is common for men at the barber. Phew. I never judge females on whether they shave or not after that experience. All right, second example, and they get shorter. Second example, a haircut in Thailand. At the end of the street where my hotel was located, there was a nice salon with 4 chairs, and you could see them through the windows. Well, I went inside. Of course, they spoke no English again, but using the international haircut symbols again, I was waved to a chair. In Thailand, there are no native curly-haired people. Their hair is thick, long, and black. The first lady cut for a bit, and she was frustrated with the results. She called for a second lady. She came over, and she also became quite frustrated. They took to arguing with each other, and then the owner came over. She listened for a moment, looked at me, and picked up an electric shear. She gave me a shrug and questioning look. I gave her the thumbs up, and just like boot camp, I had the second buzz cut of my life. Third episode, this is all material for her. Third episode, in Japan, there are 2 basic styles of haircuts. The first, they use a bowl, and your haircut takes about 3 minutes. I decided I'd try a salon instead, not wanting a third buzz cut. Little did I know a nice salon cut takes like 3 hours. They apparently cut each individual strand of hair one at a time. Nice haircut, but not really worth 3 hours of my time. Finally, a story from Ecuador. I was vacationing there and in a small city in the mountains. Walking the streets as usual, I spotted a small shop and walked in. Used the international haircut symbol again. The lady smiled and led me to a chair. Cool, I thought. But instead of a haircut, I got a thorough manicure, complete with clear nail polish. I waited till I got back home for the haircut. And with that, we have some more music.
Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. Let me hear you whisper that you love me too. Keep the love light glowing in your eyes so true. Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you, with you.
If you've been here with us for any period of time, you've probably heard me make the bold assertion that anything can be our sacred text. And I'm really excited about the opportunity of taking that theory for a try today. Stephen's stories about his adventures in international barbering have got me curious about what each of us considers risky and what we don't consider risky. From listening to Stephen, I gather that his attitude about haircuts falls somewhere in the category of, it's just hair. And in the case of the Japanese haircut, where each strand is meditatively shaped on its own, perhaps it's more like, it's just time. In the meantime, I am not the kind of person who can hold the same attitude about my haircuts. It took me a decade to get my hair to the length that it is right now, where the sheer bigness of all of this is weighted down by the length. It's just hair attitude for me could really change my life. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but it feels that serious to me. And there's a lot of things in life like that feel high risk to one person, medium risk to another, and low or no risk to yet another. So here's one of my very informal hand-raising surveys. A variety is the spice of life here, so I'd love to see the hands of all of us, ages 0 to 99. Here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna name a thing, and then I'm gonna ask for hands for low risk, and then medium risk, and then high risk. You raise yours when I name the category of risk that applies to you with this particular proposition. And of course, if you don't want to participate, if that feels too risky to you, you don't have to. We try real hard to be opt-in about all participatory things here. So let's start with the classic, skydiving. Who here? Greg feels like it's no risk? All right, let's start with low risk. Who feels like skydiving is low risk? All right, who feels like it's medium risk? Who feels like it's high risk? All right, this wasn't in the script, but amongst the low risk people, who hasn't done it? Okay, among the high-risk people, who has done it anyway? All right. Just chasing my curiosity there. All right, here's another one. Going to the grocery store. Who feels like that's low risk? Okay. Who feels like it's medium risk? Okay. There are valid reasons for the grocery store trip to be medium risk. Who feels like it's high risk? I mean, fair. I'm asking these questions because this is how risk tolerance works. All right, here's another one. Attending a public social justice-oriented demonstration here locally. Who feels like that's low risk? All right, who feels like that's medium risk? All right, who feels like that's high risk? Okay, also all very valid. So here's one more, which is gonna kind of make a point I was gonna make about all of them. Walking down the street in downtown Johnson City, holding hands with the person you love. Even if you're currently single, think about the kind of relationships you generally gravitate towards and think about it hypothetically. Who here feels like that's low risk? All right, who feels like it's medium risk? Who feels like it's high risk? All right, absolutely. So this tricky one I threw into the mix on purpose. Some folks might be more or less comfortable with that one based on how they feel about public displays of affection, but it also demonstrates how risk will be different for different people in different situations. Folks who are straight and folks who are queer are probably going to feel different about holding hands and walking down the street. And it's probably going to feel different for a long-term couple than it is for someone in a brand new relationship. Multiracial couples may have more complicated feelings about the risk involved in holding hands in public than monochromatic couples. And polyamorous hand-holding is definitely going to feel more risky out in public. We are all different. And I think some of the responses about showing up at a protest or not are kind of also related to like what levels of vulnerability we experience based on our outer appearance. Our relationship with risk and the varying degrees of actual risk as it applies to each of us does a lot to determine how we are going to approach opportunities and situations. And we can see from Stephen's storytelling that engaging in reasonable risks can help us grow as people. It can be a sort of spiritual practice to venture beyond our comfort zones, to leave the metaphorical expatriate hotel and walk the streets and learn about a different world by getting a haircut from their world rather than our own. Seeking out new experiences and expanding our perspective on life by intentionally seeking out other perspectives is probably one of the basic purposes of human existence. It is certainly an important part of being a Unitarian Universalist, where our quest for truth and meaning and our appreciation of what it means to be human means that eternally residing in our comfort zones is just not an option. Fortunately, in the variety of our personal experiences and risk tolerances, there are opportunities for growth for each of us. Hair is always growing, and so are we. So here's a few thoughts that we can carry along with us as we enter this growth arena of the spiritual practice of risk-taking. First, we got to know our relationship with risk before we get in there. Take that personal risk assessment. Knowing our needs and our triggers so that we can identify our it's just hair spaces is helpful. We've already played with that today. And I think it helps to know that what is low risk to some will be high risk to others. I'm not asking anyone to jump out of a plane today. That frees us from the impulse to judge others and ourselves, to know that we're each different and each have our own triggers, our own glimmers, and our own reasons for participating or not participating in a thing. With that understanding, maybe we can each take a medium or even a medium-low risk and see what it teaches us about ourselves. Maybe it's a haircut, maybe it's a trip, maybe it's a women's retreat, but maybe it's a conversation that you know you need to have. Maybe it's a new job. It can be anything really. It can be an incredible growth opportunity to leave the safety of our home and see what the big black dog outside our door wants to teach us. He's probably going to shrink into something manageable if only we treat him like a dog instead of like a threat. Another approach is one I learned from Stephen's storytelling: to go into these new experiences as a guest, not as an expert or a consumer. This can be challenging because a normal human reaction to uncertainty is to get a little controlling about things. But when Stephen approached these opportunities to try on a new perspective, he didn't try to manipulate or wrestle the new experience into any mold that would make him comfortable or give him whatever he conceives to be the right haircut. Instead, he came with openness, curiosity, and the attitude of, it's just hair. I think this is especially important when our adventures are multicultural. Sometimes we say we want to experience something new, but then when we get there, we get kind of mad when it doesn't conform to something that feels more familiar to us. And the capitalist model of consumerism that we're all familiar with can make it especially challenging to go to a new experience like this with a sense of openness. Can we show up ready to surrender our status as the customer, who is always right and always entitled to demand that their own vision be submitted to? Can we put ourselves in the hands of another to surrender our idea of perfect and instead just connect with another person by receiving what they have to offer? What a risk! What vulnerability! But that's the path of growth. In Daring Greatly, Brené Brown says that vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, creativity, and empathy. It's amazing that all of this is available to us. And however much we are willing to surrender our control of people as the always right consumer, protected by that role, is however much we will be able to abundantly receive such gifts. I experienced this at the women's retreat yesterday that invited us to engage in an exercise that would have us feeling a little vulnerable, a little awkward with each other. We each began with one partner, and my partner and I both laughed and came up with kind of permission to enter this uncomfortable place by saying, I feel really uncomfortable about this. The awkwardness in me recognizes the awkwardness in you. But as the experience progressed and everyone together threw their whole selves into the experience, the awkwardness diminished and was replaced by a childlike sense of playfulness. Uncomfortable laughter transformed into giggles of delight. It was connection. And it was fun, and so much of what I've been missing in my life lately, but awkwardness was the price of admission. Thank goodness I'm good at being awkward. That price of admission is often a price that we are unwilling to pay. But what happens when we give it a try? But then what happens when we try vulnerability, we take a risk, and it doesn't work out? Let's go back to the adventures in international hairstyling. I'm sure there were times when Stephen went to get a haircut and it was somewhat unremarkable and that we just didn't hear those stories. Is that fair? Okay. Those stories where it didn't end in shaved armpits or clear nail polish or a buzz cut. But the good stories, the stories worth telling, were the ones where things didn't go according to plan, right? Where the risk maybe didn't play out in an optimal way. So that's the other thing about taking risks, is it's not always gonna work out. Otherwise, why the heck would we even categorize it as a risk? Maggie Lovins, a community minister in Northwest Florida that I used to work with, taught me an important word about risk-taking: experifail. It's a merging of the words experiment and fail. There is something freeing in acknowledging ahead of time that not everything that is tried is going to work out. We may offer a program here that no one really resonates with, but we won't know until we try. And if we try and we failed, then at least we learned something and we can apply it to our future planning. A love confession to a crush might end in disappointment, but even though it's super vulnerable, in the end we know where we stand and we can either celebrate a new relationship or move on. Maybe we will occasionally eat a dish that is not good, but in exchange we might get to try several things that we do enjoy. When I went to Chinatown in Chicago many years ago, I had 3 amazing meals and 1 really awful meal. And that awful meal was worth the 3 amazing meals. Honestly, that perfectly cooked soft shell crab was probably worth 3 awful meals. That's how good it was. And so maybe sometimes we'll get a haircut that wasn't what we were expecting, but even in the failing, we learn about ourselves and the world, we embrace new perspectives, and maybe we even get a good story out of it. Beloveds, I want you to hear that I am not pushing you to do things that are unsafe. And I know that something that is safe for me in my relative privilege may not be safe for you. And I also want you to hear that the world needs people who are willing and able to take risks right now. We need your courage. We need your empathy. We need your overflowing love for the world. We need every person who can to stretch just a little outside of our comfort zones, to make connections with people we might not normally make, to speak up about things that feel scary to talk about. And we can begin right here, in this community where we've committed to building relationships based on the values of love, justice, and generosity, where we honor our shared humanity, dignity, and worthiness, where we can covenant to show up in openness and treat every person like they matter. When I think about the vast variety of people, when I see you all out here, I think about how many different amazing perspectives that we can encounter right here at coffee hour today. We've got 6 generations represented here today. 6. The most recent is probably downstairs, but they're here. What could you learn from talking with someone who has never known life without an internet? And what could you learn from talking with someone who grew up before cable TV existed? They're all here. We've got people from all over the nation and all around the globe here. What could you learn from someone who has lived different places from you? And what could you learn from someone who grew up right here in East Tennessee? So many folks who come through these doors came from somewhere else, but the people who grew up here have profound wisdom to share with us if we'll ask them. We've got a wide range of neurodiversities here in the congregation. What can we learn from someone whose brain works differently from our own? And in our Unitarian Universalist pluralism, we have a wide range of beliefs and non-belief here. What can we learn from someone who is working out the big questions of life in a way that is different from what we've come up with? In a congregation where young and old, atheist and Christian, veteran and pacifist, and just any human being on this adventure of loving and seeking love comes together to work for transformation and build community, there is so much to learn. May we all have the insight to find that sweet spot within our personal risk tolerances, the courage to push just a little bit further into spaces of learning and growth, and the wisdom to know when it's just hair.
Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us. Thank you for being with us today. We'd love if you could stay for coffee hour, which is right through those doors over there. Next week is our second Sunday potluck. Everyone is encouraged to bring a dish to share, and it can literally be anything. We know not everyone cooks, but swinging by the grocery store on the way to church and picking up something convenient is always an option. That's what I do. I bring pretzels. Well, the food is always good. The point is the fellowship. So please plan to join us for potluck next week. We have an overflowing lost and found located under that coat rack way over there. There's jackets, there's water bottles, backpacks, and more. There's also art. Please take a look. You might find something that you didn't realize you were missing. Take you about 10 seconds to do a quick run through. That would be very helpful for all of us. Summer religious education classes are underway. During the summer, we have a more casual approach to RE classes where students of all ages meet together to learn something interesting. Today, Greg Kramer taught everyone about Dutch oven cooking.
And there's plenty for people to eat.
Ooh, there you go. It'll probably be available at coffee hour today to eat. All the more reason to stay. Each Sunday needs 2 teachers, one who is doing the actual teaching and a second person to help out and encourage participation. We are still working on recruiting second teachers for most Sundays. It's a simple way to help out and see what summer RE is all about. Sign up to be a second teacher on the big flip chart in the foyer or talk to Justin. This Tuesday night, there is a Zoom meeting about the upcoming General Assembly, the annual international gathering of Unitarian Universalist congregations. This meeting, which starts at 6:30 p.m., will review the voting agenda and give anyone in attendance a chance to give feedback to our representatives about how you would like them to vote. You can get the Zoom link on our events page, or you can email Reverend Tiffany at minister@hvuuc.org before 5 p.m. on Tuesday to get the link. Our closing hymn is "This Is My Song." The words are on the screens and in your hymnal. We will
you so much for your generosity this week and every week. Here's our benediction. May justice lead us to the calling of this moment. May wonder meet us right where we're at. May we discover our collaborators and our companions, and may love guide us on our journey of transformation. Blessed be, amen, and go in peace.